Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Podcast Show. My name is James Williams, and today we discuss if the Dallas Mavericks are better off without Luka Doncic on their basketball team. So after the trade happened on Saturday night, I saw Kendrick Perkins go on ESPN and talk about, hey, I actually like this trade for the Dallas Mavericks, and they're still contenders. And I was like, oh, it's just Kendrick Perkins saying that type of stuff, and that's just the thing that he does. And the reaction after this trade, and I think rightfully so, was bashing the Dallas Mavericks, bashing Nico Harrison, calling it one of the worst trades in NBA history. And it was just an overwhelming hurricane of criticism on the Dallas Mavericks. But what happens in the sports take ecosphere is that a lot of times you have a lot of contrary and contradictory opinions where a lot of people say, hey, whoa. Actually, the Dallas Mavericks, this was a good trade. This was a good trade for the Dallas Mavericks. And it's gotten to the point where I saw ESPN doing a segment about it yesterday, and it's gotten to the point here where enough people have talked about it where I have to do a segment talking about this, and I'm including a few people that have jumped on the this is a good trade for Dallas are Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal. I'm going to show you two separate clips. This first clip I'm going to show you is from Charles Barkley talking about the trade on NBA TV, and then the next one I'll show you is Shaq talking about the trade on Inside the NBA. So go ahead, I'll play these clips for you, and then we'll come back on the other side, and we'll talk about it. Here's Charles Barkley.
OKC, they're my favorite to win this thing. But, man, the Dallas Mavericks, they might have just became the second best team in the Western Conference because the jury is still out. I think Denver needs to make a trade because they need to get some bench help. The Rockets are so young. I'm not going to take the Rockets beating the Mavs in a 7-game series. The Memphis Grizzlies, I like their team, but man, Dallas, this is going to be a very fun thing to watch.
Okay, so that's what Charles Barkley had to say about the trade. Now here is what Shaq said about the trade on Inside the NBA.
Young players that we've seen today. I wish the business of basketball could have been handled a little better. You would think a guy that 5 years in the league, 5 first-team All-NBAs would at least get the conversation like, hey, things are not going well. This could possibly happen. But, you know, he felt the same way I felt. When it went down, I actually had to look and make sure it wasn't April Fool's Day. So, I mean, I would like to have seen it done a little bit more respectfully. But this is what, and us three, we know this, you know this too. This is what we call the business of basketball. I remember the day they traded Patrick Ewing. And it made me say to myself, nobody is safe. Then Dominique, then me, then you. So it happens, but it's just very unfortunate. You know, it's a lot of stuff going on. He wasn't in shape. He was this, he was that. It's obvious that they didn't want to move forward with a 25-year-old superstar. But now he's in La Land. His jerseys went from number 6 to number 1. You know, there's a lot of speculation of can him and Bron play with each other. The answer is yes. Of course, they can play with each other. And it's going to be interesting. However, I think Dallas got better of the trade for the next 2 years anyway.
All right, there you go. Charles Barkley says they're the second best team in the West. Shaq says that they won the trade for the next 2 years. Guys, what are we doing? What are we doing here? You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of, it's such a baffling move that this reminds me of the Atlanta Falcons last year in the NFL draft when they drafted Michael Penix Jr. And it was such a dumb move because anyone that follows the draft like me could have told you that Michael Penix Jr. would have been available with the 8th pick. And then it was like, all of a sudden it's like, well, people are going back and doing revisionist history, be like, well, how were they supposed to know that he was going to be available with the 8th pick? And then, oh, wait, we're also going to do the thing where it's like, oh, Kirk Cousins get to mentor him for a few years. And then all of a sudden it's a year later and Kirk Cousins is going to get cut. And they could have used that money to, I don't know, help the offensive line, help the defense, make a better team around them, and not have Kirk Cousins stink up the joint for a year after an Achilles tear. It's the same thing. And it was obviously a dumb move. And people were just rushing to defend it. Guys, there's no point to defend this move. This is a dumb trade. This is one of the dumbest trades in NBA history. For tomorrow, for the next 2 weeks, for the next 2 months, for the next 2 years, for the next 20 years. The Dallas Mavericks are a worse basketball team without Luka Doncic. The reason anything that is good that has happened to that basketball team over the last 7 years is because of Luka Doncic. The reason they made the conference finals a few years ago was because Luka Doncic went nuclear. The reason they made the NBA finals last year is because Luka Doncic went nuclear. They overreacted because, yeah, is Luka Doncic a little bit lackadaisical defensively? Is he not necessarily a guy that you think is going to be locking down defenders on the other side of the court all night? Of course not. But you don't ask him to because you ask him to carry your offense for you. I think he should have won MVP last year. This is a guy that averages basically a 30-point triple-double. He's the point guard. He is the guy that sets up everything in that offense. The reason that Klay Thompson went to Dallas was because of Luka Doncic. The reason Kyrie Irving's career got resurrected is because of Luka Doncic. If anything, if you actually go back and look at the playoffs last year, the reason they didn't reach their full ceiling wasn't because Luka Doncic was just getting torched on defense. If anything, if you look at their offense against the Boston Celtics, it was the fact that other guys around Luka couldn't create their own baskets. And Boston had the ability to guard him one-on-one. And even if they did pass the ball off to Kyrie, who played terrible in that final series, he couldn't create offense for himself or other people. And now all of a sudden, Kyrie Irving is going to be asked to be the offensive creator, the sole offensive creator for the entire Dallas Mavericks team. It's just Kyrie Irving and Spencer Dinwiddie. That is your offensive creation now for the Dallas Mavericks. Oh, cool. They got Anthony Davis. And Anthony Davis, he gets to play the power forward position again. Cool. They're a big team. There's probably going to be some playoff matchups where they can play pretty well. But I don't even know if this team's going to make the play-in, guys. If they make the play-in, I don't know if they'll make the playoffs. Are there good players on this team? Yes. Do I like Max Christie in that trade? Yes. Do I like Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving together? Yes. But this team is a play-in team. Let's stop trying to act like this was some sort of smart trade by Nico Harrison. Let's stop trying to do like, oh, let's do all these mental gymnastics, and there's got to be some reason that he made this trade. He can't be that dumb. No, it was a dumb trade. Now, I don't know. We did a video the other day talking about maybe the fact that this trade is so baffling, so confusing. Why would you do it? That maybe there was some sort of ownership, interference with this trade where they come in and they either say, hey, we don't want to pay Luka that kind of money. We don't think that he is worth $312 million or whatever the heck extension that he was due for in either this offseason or the next offseason after that. I can't remember. Or if it was some sort of grand conspiracy plot that, Dallas wants to either move to Vegas or they want to, force the Texas government to help them build a casino, something weird like that. But let's stop trying to make this trade make sense. It doesn't make sense. All the reporting around it still doesn't make sense. It was a bad move. Luka Doncic is a top 3 NBA player right now, at worst. That is how good he is. I think the Lakers are title contenders right now because of that trade, especially if they get that Mark Williams guy healthy. They might sign a guy in the buyout market, which they were able to do with some trades that they made. They were able to make some more cap space. This is a bad trade for Dallas. And I think probably within the next 2 years, Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis are off this team. I think they're going in full tank mode soon because this team doesn't make sense. They don't have any offensive creation anymore. Do they have nice players on this team? Yes. Do they have talented players on this team? Yes. But without Luka Doncic, the guy that you built this entire team around, the team doesn't make sense. The roster doesn't make any sense. And Dallas is going to be an NBA purgatory for a long time now. And as we said on the last video we did on this channel, I think this is going to go down as, for Dallas Mavericks fans, as the Luka curse. This trade, because that's how bad it was. I think your franchise might be cursed now. That is how bad it was. That's how stupid it was. And let's stop making excuses trying to make it make sense, because it doesn't. Dallas did not win this trade in any shape or form. And that doesn't mean Anthony Davis isn't a top 10 guy, top 15 guy. Doesn't mean a lot of other teams around the NBA wouldn't love to have Anthony Davis. But this trade makes no sense. It makes no sense. Let's stop trying to make it make sense. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy who's like, well, actually, I think this is a decent trade for Dallas and that they might actually still be able to contend. No. They are not contenders. They are not contenders, period. They're a mediocre basketball team now. They're mid. That's what they are. They're a play-in team in the West. That's all they are. All right, that's going to do it for this video here today. If you liked it, hit that sub button, hit that like button. Feel free to leave a comment what you think about the Luka trade. If Dallas is still good, if the Lakers are contenders, if it's going to take a while for the Lakers to be contenders, what's your reaction on anything? Would love to hear you guys' thoughts. And feel free to check out other videos on this podcast channel's page and subscribe. And thank you for watching. We'll talk to you next time.